Your driveway? It's public property now, honey. Get over it.
Brenda, the HOA tyrant, parked her white Escalade across my garage, fake blonde whipping in the Arizona blaze, waving her forged survey with that smug, entitled smirk. Right where my late wife's Mustang used to sit every night after her shifts. The empty spot still aches since she passed. Her cheap perfume and arrogance choked me worse than the heat. She'd already bullied 4 families. Fake boundaries, forced panic sales, land stolen shamelessly. Now she came for our home, my last reminder of her. The injustice burned. She figured a grieving widower was easy to break. Dead wrong. Retired civil engineer, 30 years building things that outlast tyrants. No arguments. I created something unbreakable. What happened next? Private property fought back, hard. Your most infuriating HOA story? Drop it below. I read every one. My name is Marcus Weatherby, 58 years old, and 2 years ago I buried my wife Elena in Tucson's desert cemetery. After 18 months fighting cancer, I'd kiss her goodbye each morning, then wait for the sweet sound of her Mustang pulling into our driveway every evening, engine ticking as it cooled, her vanilla perfume still lingering when I helped her inside. After she passed, I couldn't handle the memories. Sold everything, took early retirement from 30 years of civil engineering, and moved to Saguaro Springs, a quiet HOA community where I could restore Elena's '67 Mustang in peace. My new house was perfect. Modest ranch on Desert Willow Drive, long concrete driveway, 2-car garage. The morning desert silence felt healing after months of hospital beeping. Elena's Mustang sat exactly where it belonged, covered in a soft tarp that rustled gently in the dry wind. Then I met Brenda Kilpatrick, and my peaceful retirement died a violent death. Picture a 5'4" tyrant with fake blonde highlights that probably cost more than my monthly utilities, always wearing designer athleisure like she's perpetually late for exclusive Pilates. Drives a white Escalade with vanity plates, HOA boss, because apparently subtlety died with her natural hair color. 8 years as HOA president made her a dictator with a clipboard and delusions of governmental authority. Her husband Dale sells insurance, travels constantly, probably hiding in hotel rooms to avoid coming home. Can't blame him. I'd run too. Week 1. Brenda critiqued my landscaping choices. Elena's favorite desert willows weren't community appropriate. They stayed. Non-negotiable. Week 2. She appeared with a professional tape measure, spending 40 minutes documenting driveway width violations. The concrete was poured in 1987. I had original permits proving everything was legal. Week 3 brought her declaration of war against my sanity. I'm in my garage rebuilding the Mustang's carburetor, hands covered in motor oil that smelled like progress, when heels click across concrete like gunshots echoing off desert rocks. Brenda stands in my driveway, designer sunglasses reflecting brutal Arizona sun, manila folder clutched like she's carrying nuclear launch codes. Marcus, your driveway is built on public property. She opens the folder with theatrical flair, official-looking survey with red property lines showing my driveway extending onto public land belonging to the municipal community. I've researched our city records extensively, she announces, that insufferable smug smile spreading across her Botoxed face. 3 feet of your driveway sits on public property. The city could force demolition, but I'm willing to work with you. My 30 years of engineering experience screamed bullshit louder than a jackhammer, but I stayed diplomatic. I'll verify this with my original deed. You do that, honey, you do that. Meanwhile, I'll be parking here for official HOA business. This is public property now, after all. Her Escalade's diesel engine rumbled like mechanical thunder as she blocked my garage completely, parking directly where Elena's Mustang belonged. The stench of her overwhelming perfume mixed with desert heat, choking me worse than grief ever had. That night, I transformed my kitchen table into mission control. Deed, county survey, title insurance, builder's 1987 site plan, even architectural drawings. Harsh fluorescent light revealed the truth that made my blood pressure spike into dangerous territory. Brenda's survey was completely fabricated. Professional forgery. My property line extended 3 feet beyond her claims, not 3 feet short. She'd manufactured fake municipal documents to steal my driveway using public property lies. Cross-referencing county records revealed the horrifying pattern. 4 other families had faced identical public property disputes over 3 years. Same fake surveys, same boundary lies, same forced panic sales. Mrs. Patterson, 2019, lost $30,000 on forced sale after public property violations. Young couple Martinez, 2021, kids' college fund destroyed by municipal boundary disputes. Retiree Thompson, 2020, retirement dreams crushed by public land encroachments. Each family bullied into selling cheap, then Brenda's real estate accomplice swooped in with lowball offers. Systematic theft disguised as civic duty. This wasn't overzealous HOA management. This was organized crime using public property fraud to steal private homes from vulnerable residents. She picked the wrong grieving widower. Time to engineer a permanent solution. Monday morning, 6:30 a.m. sharp, Brenda's Escalade rumbles into my driveway like clockwork. The diesel engine's growl mixed with her car door slamming became my new alarm clock, except infinitely more annoying than any buzzer Elena and I ever owned. She struts out wearing hot pink athleisure that probably costs more than my monthly grocery budget, clipboard in one hand, Starbucks venti in the other, acting like she owns the place. Because according to her fake survey, she literally does. Morning, Marcus, just using the public parking space for today's board meeting. Public parking space. My driveway had been demoted to municipal property overnight, apparently. I walk outside, hands still smelling of motor oil from an early Mustang carburetor session. Brenda, I checked my deed. This is private property. She waves that fraudulent survey like it's the Constitution itself. City records override private deeds, honey. Municipal property law supersedes homeowner assumptions. Here's the thing about fake legal authority. It sounds impressive until you've actually read municipal property statutes. During my engineering career, I dealt with enough zoning disputes to know real municipal law from manufactured bullshit. Real municipal property transfers require public hearings, newspaper notifications, and about 6 months of bureaucratic processes. Brenda's overnight property grab? Legally impossible. I'll need to see the official city documentation, I tell her calmly. Oh, you will. But first, let me explain how this works. She opens her clipboard, revealing a typed notice with fancy letterhead that probably came from her home printer. The HOA is formally notifying you of public property violations. 30 days to acknowledge municipal ownership or face city enforcement. City enforcement. She's escalating from fake surveys to manufactured government authority. Bold move for someone who clearly never took Property Law 101. That afternoon, I drive to the county recorder's office downtown. 2 hours in brutal Tucson traffic, but I need official ammunition to destroy her lies. Patricia, the clerk, has worked property records for 22 years. Her weathered hands move with practiced efficiency as she examines Brenda's survey. The office smells like old paper and government coffee, familiar scents from decades of permit applications. Sir, this isn't a municipal document, Patricia says after 30 seconds, her tone mixing professional courtesy with barely contained disgust. Wrong font, incorrect seal, and we don't use red ink for boundary markers. This is completely fabricated. She prints my actual survey. Certified, official, undeniable. My property line extends 4.2 feet beyond where Brenda claims. Not only is my driveway on my land, I actually own part of what she calls public property. But here's where Patricia drops the bombshell that changes everything. Mr. Weatherby, 4 other properties on your street have requested boundary verification in the past 3 years. Same issue, fake surveys claiming municipal ownership. She pulls the files with the efficiency of someone who's seen this pattern before. Mrs. Patterson, the Martinez family, Old Thompson, and the Johnsons. All received identical fake documents. All told their driveways were public property. All pressured to sell within months. Did they fight it? I ask, though Patricia's expression already tells the story. They couldn't afford lawyers. Each family lost between $15,000 and $30,000 in forced quick sales. The engineering side of my brain immediately recognizes the pattern: systematic fraud disguised as municipal authority. Brenda targets vulnerable homeowners, manufactures public property crises, forces panic sales, then profits through coordinated below-market purchases. 4 families, over $80,000 stolen through fake government documentation. I drive home with certified proof and righteous anger, but walking up my driveway, I discover Brenda's left me a special present, a bright orange municipal violation sticker plastered across my garage door like a scarlet letter. The sticker reads, This structure encroaches on public property. Compliance required within 15 days. Failure to comply may result in forced demolition. Forced demolition. She's threatening to tear down the garage where Elena's Mustang lives. That evening, I call Elena's old probate attorney, Jim Martinez, coincidentally uncle of the young couple Brenda victimized in 2021. "Marcus, I've been waiting for someone to fight this woman," Jim says after reviewing my documentation. "My nephew lost his kid's college fund to her scam. What she's doing is criminal fraud, but she counts on people being too intimidated to fight back. What are my options? Legally, you've got her dead to rights, but you're an engineer, Marcus. Maybe it's time to build something that solves the problem permanently." Tuesday morning brings escalation with theatrical flair. Brenda arrives with reinforcements, 2 other board members wearing matching HOA official polo shirts like they're federal agents conducting a raid on my breakfast routine. "Marcus, we're conducting an official property inspection," Brenda announces with the authority of someone who's never been challenged. "These municipal violations require immediate assessment." Janet, a retired teacher, looks uncomfortable. Phil, a bank manager who definitely understands real property law, keeps checking his phone like he's calculating escape routes. I step outside with my certified county survey and Patricia's official documentation. Here's the actual municipal record. I spread the documents on my car hood. My property extends 4 feet beyond where Ms. Kilpatrick claims. Her survey is fraudulent. Janet examines the paperwork, then stares at Brenda with the look teachers reserve for students caught cheating. Phil's banking experience kicks in as he recognizes professional forgery. "Where exactly did you get that boundary map?" Janet asks pointedly. Brenda's face flushes pinker than her athleisure. "The city provided updated records. Municipal boundaries change." "Municipal boundaries don't change without public hearings," Phil interjects, his professional knowledge destroying her lie. "This looks like forgery." Brenda's board support evaporates faster than desert morning dew. Janet and Phil walk away, leaving her standing alone in my driveway, fake survey trembling in her hands, realizing she just picked a fight with an engineer who solves problems with facts. Time to build that permanent solution. Wednesday morning brings Brenda's revenge fantasy, and she's doubling down with the confidence of someone who's confused Netflix legal dramas with actual law. I'm adjusting the Mustang's carburetor when diesel engines rumble into my driveway. Brenda's Escalade followed by a white pickup reeking of hydraulic fluid and poor life choices. Desert Vista landscaping painted on the side in letters that have seen better decades. Brenda emerges wearing designer sunglasses that probably cost more than these guys make in a week, clipboard clutched like a religious artifact. 3 landscapers trail behind her, looking confused about why they're standing in someone's driveway at sunrise. "Marcus, I've brought the city-approved team to install proper boundary markers on this public property," she announces with the theatrical flair of someone unveiling a community improvement project. Carlos, the crew chief, examines her fake survey with the weathered skepticism of a man who's seen every type of municipal bullshit Arizona can produce. The morning heat already rising from concrete makes his work shirt stick to his back as he studies her paperwork. Here's something I learned during 30 years of construction projects. Experienced contractors can smell fraudulent documentation faster than a bloodhound finds barbecue. They deal with real city permits daily, and Brenda's home-printed masterpiece screams amateur hour. "Ma'am, this doesn't look like standard municipal paperwork," Carlos says diplomatically, the way contractors do when they're trying not to call someone an idiot. "We typically need signed city work orders for public property modifications." "The HOA has municipal authority for boundary enforcement," Brenda insists, her voice climbing toward that frequency that makes dogs flee. "This is urgent public safety work." I step outside with my certified county documentation, still smelling like motor oil and morning coffee. "Gentlemen, before you start digging, you should know this property is privately owned. Here's yesterday's official survey." Carlos examines my legitimate paperwork, then glances at Brenda's craft project. His expression shifts from professional courtesy to barely contained irritation. Nobody likes being dragged into someone else's fraud scheme, especially not at 7 a.m. "Ma'am, we don't touch property disputes without proper city authorization. Good luck with your situation." The landscaping crew disappears faster than ice cream at a kid's birthday party, leaving Brenda standing in my driveway looking like someone just explained calculus using interpretive dance. But here's where she graduates from annoying to genuinely stupid. She pulls out her phone for a dramatic performance call. "Yes, this is Brenda Kilpatrick, HOA president. I need to report a homeowner interfering with municipal property maintenance. Yes, I'll hold for code enforcement." She's actually calling the city on me, in my own driveway, using fake documents, while I'm holding real ones. 20 minutes later, a Tucson code enforcement truck arrives, and Officer Rivera steps out looking like a man who's dealt with every variety of neighbor dispute Arizona produces. His tablet contains actual municipal property databases, the kind Brenda apparently didn't know existed. "Ma'am, you reported unauthorized interference with municipal work?" "Yes. This man is preventing city-approved boundary maintenance on public land." Brenda waves her fake survey with prosecutorial enthusiasm. Officer Rivera examines her documentation for exactly 10 seconds. "Ma'am, this isn't a city document. We don't issue boundary modifications through HOA letterhead." He turns to me with the relief of meeting someone who might actually be sane. "Sir, your property documentation?" I hand him Patricia's certified survey. He cross-references everything on his tablet, accessing the real municipal databases that apparently exist in a parallel universe from Brenda's imagination. "Mr. Weatherby, your property is correctly documented and privately owned. Ma'am, filing false municipal reports is a misdemeanor. I suggest resolving this privately." Officer Rivera drives away, leaving Brenda standing there looking like she just discovered electricity doesn't actually come from wall outlets by magic. But here's the mini twist that reveals her true desperation level. That afternoon, she launches a neighborhood terror campaign that would make political consultants proud. Mrs. Vanessa calls around 3 p.m., her voice mixing amusement with irritation. "Marcus, your HOA president stopped by claiming your driveway expansion is destroying everyone's property values. She said the city might condemn the whole block if you don't comply with municipal boundaries." Mrs. Vanessa taught calculus for 30 years and has zero patience for mathematical impossibility. I told her that fictional municipal authority doesn't scare someone who spent decades explaining actual facts to teenagers. By evening, I've received similar calls from 5 neighbors. Brenda's weaponizing their financial anxiety, claiming my violations threaten everyone's home equity. That night, I conduct a door-to-door education campaign, delivering copies of my real documentation to everyone Brenda terrorized. Mr. Thompson, her 2020 victim, immediately recognizes the fake survey design. "Son, she used identical forged paperwork on me 3 years ago. Cost me $18,000 because I didn't know how to fight back." By Thursday morning, Brenda's fear campaign backfired spectacularly. Instead of isolating me, she accidentally exposed her systematic fraud to the entire neighborhood. Jim Martinez calls at 8 a.m., practically vibrating with excitement. "Marcus, 6 neighbors want to explore legal action against Brenda. We might have enough victims for a class action fraud case." Brenda thought she was building an army against me. Instead, she just recruited her own firing squad. Time to engineer something she'll never see coming. Friday morning's desert silence gets murdered by Brenda's Escalade, followed by a second SUV that screams, "I borrowed money I can't afford to impress people I don't like." Out steps a woman in a discount business suit clutching a briefcase like it contains nuclear launch codes instead of whatever legal cosplay she's about to perform. Her oversized glasses reflect the brutal Arizona sun as she surveys my property with the hungry expression of a timeshare salesperson spotting tourists. "Marcus, meet Crystal Davidson, legal counsel," Brenda announces with the pride of someone introducing their participation trophy. "She's here to discuss your municipal compliance issues." Crystal's briefcase clicks open with theatrical precision, releasing the scent of cheap leather and desperate ambition. "Mr. Weatherby, I represent the Saguaro Springs HOA and public property disputes. We're offering a reasonable settlement to avoid costly legal proceedings." During my engineering days, I worked with enough real attorneys to spot amateur hour from 3 zip codes away. Real lawyers don't need briefcase theatrics. Their expertise speaks quietly and carries big sticks. Crystal's performing like community theater Shakespeare. "Ms. Davidson, what's your Arizona bar number?" Her confidence crumbles faster than week-old cookies. "I'm consulting counsel. My husband handles the bar registration requirements." Translation. She's a lawyer's wife playing legal expert in Brenda's fantasy government. About as legitimate as a $3 bill with Brenda's picture on it. "I'll need credentials before discussing legal matters," I say, pulling out my phone. "That's not how this works," Brenda shrieks, her voice reaching frequencies that make desert coyotes relocate to quieter neighborhoods. "Crystal has full authority for municipal settlements." I dial Jim Martinez on speaker. "Jim, someone's claiming municipal legal authority without credentials. Could you clarify the requirements? Jim's voice carries 30 years of actual courtroom authority. Marcus, municipal property disputes require licensed Arizona attorneys. Anyone else is practicing law without a license, that's a felony. Crystal snaps her briefcase shut and practically sprints to her SUV, leaving Brenda clutching her fake authority like a deflated birthday balloon. But here's where Brenda's desperation reaches new creative heights. That afternoon, she unveils her masterpiece of manufactured crisis. Mrs. Patterson calls around 2 p.m., voice mixing concern with bewilderment. Marcus, Brenda shared disturbing news about your situation. She said you're under federal investigation for fraudulent homestead claims. Federal investigation? Brenda's graduated from fake municipal authority to imaginary federal crimes, like a conspiracy theorist's fever dream come to life. She showed me FBI documentation claiming you're running illegal automotive business from your garage, Mrs. Patterson continues. Something about unlicensed repair violating zoning ordinances. I'm rebuilding my dead wife's carburetor, not operating a criminal enterprise. But in Brenda's alternate reality, basic automotive maintenance apparently constitutes federal racketeering. By evening, 3 neighbors call with variations of her federal fantasy. Tax evasion, environmental violations, unlicensed business operations. She's created an entire criminal profile that would make FBI profilers laugh until they needed oxygen. The woman's manufactured a parallel universe where I'm simultaneously a grieving widower and a criminal mastermind orchestrating federal conspiracies from my garage. The sheer creative audacity almost deserves recognition. Saturday morning delivers the escalation I've been anticipating. I'm fine-tuning the Mustang's carburetor when multiple engines rumble into my driveway, the mechanical symphony of desperate people making terrible decisions. Through my garage window, I count 4 vehicles, Brenda's Escalade, Crystal's SUV, and 2 cars I don't recognize. One sports private security painted in letters that scream, "We're definitely not intimidating anyone." Brenda emerges wearing what can only be described as battle armor, designer blazer that probably costs more than most people's rent, power heels that click like machine gun fire on concrete, and enough makeup to supply a Broadway production. The morning heat's already wilting her hair, but her delusion remains strong. Behind her, Crystal hovers nervously while 2 men in cheap suits attempt intimidating poses, but mostly achieve constipated expressions. "Marcus Weatherby!" Brenda shouts across my driveway like she's announcing the apocalypse. "By authority of municipal code enforcement and federal property regulations, you're ordered to cease illegal activities and surrender this public property immediately." Municipal code enforcement that doesn't exist. Federal property regulations she invented. Public property that's actually mine. She's created an entire fictional government agency to support her driveway theft operation. I step out, wiping motor oil from my hands with the calm of someone about to watch amateur hour meet professional reality. "Brenda, which specific municipal code are you citing?" "Code 47B regarding unauthorized public property use." "There is no Code 47B. I spent yesterday reading Arizona's entire municipal catalog, all 847 pages of bureaucratic precision. Municipal codes use decimal systems, not letter designations. And which federal agency authorized this seizure? The Department of Property Compliance. The Department of Property Compliance exists exclusively in Brenda's imagination, filed somewhere between her legal expertise and her government authority. I dial Officer Rivera on speaker. "Officer Rivera, someone's claiming federal authority to seize private property. Could you clarify proper procedure?" "Mr. Weatherby, property seizures require court orders and legitimate law enforcement. Anyone else is attempting theft." Brenda's security theater evaporates faster than desert rain. Her actors flee, leaving her standing alone in my driveway, fictional authority melting under actual reality's harsh light. Time to engineer a permanent solution she'll never forget. Sunday evening, I'm threading new spark plugs into the Mustang when my phone buzzes with a text that makes my blood freeze. "She's planning something terrible for your house. We need to talk. Desert Rose Diner, 8 p.m. Come alone or don't come at all. D." The only D in this nightmare is Dale, Brenda's ghost husband who vanishes more often than a magician's assistant. My engineering brain screams obvious trap, but something about the desperate tone suggests this might be my first real ally in Brenda's war. Desert Rose Diner squats on Tucson's industrial edge like a monument to broken dreams and burnt coffee. Fluorescent lights flicker with the rhythm of dying insects while vinyl booths leak stuffing older than my marriage. The air reeks of grease, desperation, and secrets people shouldn't share in daylight. Dale Kilpatrick hunches in the corner booth, looking like a man who's spent months sleeping in his car. Mid-50s, graying beard that needs trimming, hands shaking as he clutches black coffee like it's liquid courage. His eyes dart toward the entrance every 30 seconds. Pure paranoia in a cheap suit. Marcus, thank you for coming. I know this seems insane, but someone has to stop her before she kills somebody. He slides a manila envelope across cracked formica, and the contents make my stomach drop into my boots. Bank statements, casino receipts, credit card bills, and documentation that reveals the true scope of Brenda's criminal empire. $47,000 to Desert Diamond Casino in 18 months, Dale whispers, voice breaking like a teenager confessing murder. Started with penny slots during my business trips. Now she's betting our house payment on poker games I didn't know existed. The bank statements paint a horrifying timeline. Systematic withdrawals from HOA accounts matching Dale's travel schedule exactly. Every business trip becomes Brenda's opportunity to rob the community blind, feeding quarters into machines that destroyed our neighborhood's financial security. But gambling's just the funding source, Dale continues, producing emails that make everything click into poisonous focus. The real money comes from her partnership with Monica Vasquez. They're running organized property theft using fake boundary disputes. He spreads contracts and communication records across the sticky table like evidence in a murder trial. Mrs. Patterson, the Martinez family, Thompson, the Johnsons, all victims of coordinated fraud disguised as municipal authority. Monica provides fake surveys and legal theatrics. Brenda terrorizes families into panic sales. They split the difference between market value and desperate seller prices. $83,000 stolen from 4 families in 3 years. My hands clench involuntarily as I realize Elena and I moved into a community systematically destroyed by organized criminals masquerading as civic leaders. Dale, why tell me this? His laugh sounds like glass breaking in the desert wind. Because you're fighting back, and she's planning phase 3 for your property. Monica calculated your house could net $42,000 in forced sale profits. He produces printed emails that freeze my blood solid. Brenda's discussing actual criminals, not her amateur security theater, but professionals willing to commit vandalism, break-ins, and psychological pressure tactics to terrorize me into submission. She's hiring people to make you feel unsafe in your own home. Broken windows, vandalized cars, maybe worse. She wants you desperate enough to sell for $30,000 below market value. The woman's escalating from fraud to violent crime, all to steal the house where I restore Elena's Mustang, the last sanctuary connecting me to my wife's memory. Why haven't you stopped her? Joint bank accounts, shared debts, and she controls our social circle, Dale says, sliding divorce papers across the table. Filed yesterday. My attorney says I have 48 hours to secure evidence before she realizes I'm leaving. After that, she'll hide everything and destroy anyone who threatens her operation. His haunted eyes meet mine across fluorescent-lit desperation. Marcus, document everything. She's going to escalate within days, and when she does, you'll need evidence to survive her. Just be prepared. Cornered criminals don't surrender quietly. Dale disappears into desert darkness, leaving me holding proof that I'm not fighting an HOA president. I'm battling a desperate criminal whose gambling addiction demands my house as collateral. Time to engineer her complete destruction. Monday morning, I transform my garage into a war room that would make military strategists proud. Elena's Mustang sits covered in the corner while I spread Dale's evidence across my workbench like a general planning the final assault. The scent of motor oil mixes with desert air flowing through open garage doors as I study Brenda's criminal empire. $47,000 in gambling debts, systematic HOA embezzlement, organized property fraud. She's not just stealing driveways. She's running a full-scale theft operation that's destroyed 4 families and left my community financially bleeding. But here's what Brenda doesn't understand about engineers. We don't just solve problems, we eliminate them permanently. My phone buzzes with a text from Bob, my electrician neighbor. Heard through the grapevine you might need some specialized installation work. Coffee? Bob arrives 20 minutes later carrying blueprints and wearing the satisfied grin of someone who loves challenging projects. During his 40 years wiring everything from aircraft hangars to maximum security facilities, He's developed expertise in systems designed to stop problems cold. "Marcus, I've been researching your situation," he says, spreading technical diagrams across my workbench. "Vehicle barriers, specifically boom gates, designed for private property protection. The specifications make my engineering heart sing. Steel construction rated for 6,000-pound impact resistance, hydraulic operation with manual backup, proximity sensors for authorized vehicle detection. Professional-grade equipment designed to stop unauthorized access permanently. Installation requirements?" I ask, studying the concrete foundation specifications. 4-foot-deep footings, reinforced with rebar, electrical conduit for motor operation. Arizona law permits private property barriers under 8 feet height without special permits. Bob's done his homework thoroughly. Total cost: $4,000 for the barrier system, $800 for concrete work, $400 for electrical installation. During my engineering career, I learned that the best solutions address root causes, not just symptoms. Brenda's root problem isn't property confusion. It's criminal behavior enabled by lack of consequences. Time to introduce consequences she'll never forget. "Bob, what's the timeline for installation?" 3 days if we work smart. Day 1, excavation and concrete footings. Day 2, electrical rough-in and barrier mounting. Day 3, system testing and calibration. While Bob calculates electrical requirements, I research the legal framework supporting our barrier installation. Arizona Revised Statutes Section 33-1818 grants property owners absolute right to install access control systems on private land. No HOA approval required, no municipal permits needed for structures under 8 feet. Here's the beautiful part. Brenda's fake public property claims actually strengthen my legal position. If she truly believed my driveway was municipal land, she'd have filed complaints with actual city authorities. Her reliance on fake surveys and manufactured documentation proves she knows the property is privately owned. Tuesday morning brings the excavation phase. Bob arrives with a compact excavator that sounds like mechanical thunder as it digs precise footings along my property line, the real property line established by Patricia's certified survey, not Brenda's fantasy boundaries. The concrete truck arrives at noon, pouring 4 cubic yards of high-strength foundation that will anchor our barrier system for the next century. The fresh concrete smells like progress and permanent solutions, exactly what this situation demands. Mrs. Vanessa watches the installation from her kitchen window, occasionally bringing us iced tea and moral support. "Marcus, this whole neighborhood's been waiting for someone to stand up to that woman. You're doing what we all wished we had the courage to do." By evening, we've established concrete footings that could stop a freight train. The barrier system will be bulletproof, literally and figuratively. Wednesday brings electrical installation. Bob runs conduit from my house to the barrier location, installing a control system that would impress NASA engineers. Remote operation via smartphone app, proximity sensors for authorized vehicles, manual override for emergencies, and backup battery power preventing sabotage. "Marcus, this system has multiple fail-safes," Bob explains while programming the control software. "Authorized vehicles get automatic access via proximity detection. Unknown vehicles trigger manual control. You decide who passes and who doesn't." And the technical specifications read like poetry. 3.2-second deployment time, whisper-quiet hydraulic operation, breakaway safety features preventing serious injury, professional engineering applied to amateur criminal problems. Thursday morning brings final installation and system testing. The boom barrier rises from its concrete foundation like a steel monument to property rights, painted bright yellow with reflective safety strips visible from 3 blocks away. We test every operational mode. Automatic detection for my Mustang, manual control via smartphone, emergency override procedures. The system operates with mechanical precision that would make Swiss watchmakers weep with envy. Beautiful work, Bob. Elena would have loved watching this engineering project come together. She'd be proud of you standing up for what's right, Marcus. This isn't just about your property. You're protecting everyone Brenda might target next. Battered. That evening, I install the final component, a discrete security camera system documenting the barrier area with 4K resolution and cloud backup storage. Everything Brenda does will be recorded, time-stamped, and legally admissible. The trap is set. Professional engineering meets amateur criminal behavior. Brenda wants to steal my property using fake authority? She's about to discover what happens when unstoppable entitlement meets immovable engineering. My phone buzzes with a text from Dale. She's planning something for this weekend. Be ready. I'm ready. The question is whether she's prepared for what I've built. Time to find out if boom barriers teach better lessons than legal threats. Friday morning's desert air carries the sweet scent of Elena's memorial roses, mixed with the metallic smell of fresh steel from my boom barrier. A combination that somehow feels like peace and preparation for war at the same time. I'm fine-tuning the proximity sensors when Vanessa rushes over, clutching her coffee mug like it contains liquid courage instead of Maxwell House. "Marcus, that woman's lost her damn mind," she says, pointing toward the community center where Brenda's staging what looks like a political rally designed by someone who learned public speaking from infomercials. Through binoculars, I watch her performance unfold. She's surrounded folding chairs, theater style, for maybe a dozen neighbors, wielding a megaphone like she's announcing the apocalypse. Her voice carries across morning silence with the subtlety of a smoke alarm at 3 a.m. "That illegal barrier threatens our children's safety," she shouts, gesturing toward my house with the dramatic flair of a community theater actress overplaying Lady Macbeth. What happens when ambulances can't reach dying residents? Emergency vehicle access. When criminal fraud fails, weaponized public safety fears. Classic Brenda, she's pivoted from fake property law to manufactured community hysteria faster than a politician changes positions during election season. By noon, she's door-to-door campaigning with a petition that reads like a Stephen King novel crossed with municipal code violations. Mrs. Vanessa reports Brenda's claiming my barrier violates fire codes, blocks ambulance access, and creates liability issues that could bankrupt the entire community through wrongful death lawsuits. Pure creative writing, but effective on neighbors who trust authority figures, even fake ones wearing designer athleisure and desperation perfume. The mini twist arrives at 2 p.m. when I discover Brenda's hired actual professionals, not for legal expertise, but for propaganda warfare. A white van reading Desert Media Solutions sits in the community center parking lot while two guys with cameras that cost more than my Mustang restoration document her safety presentation. She's creating a viral hit piece portraying me as the neighborhood psychopath who built death traps disguised as property improvements. Social media warfare designed to destroy me through public shaming and community exile. That evening, my phone explodes with Facebook notifications. Brenda's posted a professionally edited masterpiece titled "Dangerous Homeowner Threatens Neighborhood Lives," featuring dramatic aerial footage of my boom barrier with music that suggests imminent doom and community destruction. The comments section becomes a digital lynch mob of neighbors I've never met, demanding HOA intervention against my illegal death trap and selfish property terrorism. She's manufactured mass hysteria using Hollywood production values and community ignorance. But here's what Brenda doesn't know. Thursday's security camera installation includes audio recording with clarity that would make NSA surveillance teams jealous. Every word, every threat, every criminal conspiracy gets documented in courtroom-quality evidence. Saturday morning delivers her next theatrical production. The Tucson Fire Department's Battalion Chief Rodriguez arriving in response to blocked emergency access complaints. His fire truck's diesel rumble announces official authority, the real kind Brenda's been impersonating for months. "Mr. Weatherby, we received reports about barriers blocking emergency vehicles," Chief Rodriguez says with professional courtesy that suggests he's dealt with neighborhood drama before. "Need to verify your installation meets safety requirements." I walk him through specifications that would impress safety engineers. 8-foot clearance when raised, manual emergency override for first responders, breakaway features preventing entrapment. The system exceeds municipal requirements by design margins that border on overkill. "Sir, this is professional-grade equipment with proper emergency features," Chief Rodriguez concludes after testing every safety system. "No violations, no concerns. Whoever complained was seriously misinformed." From her Escalade, Brenda live streams the investigation on Facebook, giving her audience front-row seats to watching actual fire department professionals destroy her manufactured safety crisis with inconvenient facts. But she saves her cruelest escalation for when I'm away grocery shopping. I return home to discover Elena's memorial roses, those delicate desert blooms I planted to honor my wife's memory, systematically uprooted and scattered across concrete like purple confetti at a funeral nobody wanted. The sweet fragrance of trampled flowers mixes with afternoon heat and pure rage as I realize Brenda's graduated from property theft to psychological torture. She's attacking the most sacred symbol of my grief, desecrating Elena's memory to terrorize me into submission. The security cameras captured everything in crystal clarity. Brenda directing two unknown men through systematic destruction of my wife's memorial garden. Not random vandalism, calculated cruelty designed to break my spirit by destroying what I love most. But they also captured perfect evidence of criminal trespassing, property destruction, and conspiracy charges that will look beautiful in court proceedings. Officer Rivera responds that evening with the weary professionalism of someone who's watched neighborhood disputes metastasize into criminal behavior. "Mr. Weatherby, your footage shows clear criminal damage and conspiracy," he says while documenting the destruction. "This escalation pattern suggests someone approaching dangerous desperation." Sunday morning, I replant Elena's roses in identical locations, adding motion-activated floodlights and additional cameras. Brenda wanted to destroy my connection to Elena's memory. Instead, she just provided video evidence that will destroy her freedom. My phone buzzes. "Final phase tomorrow. Permanent solutions. Be ready. Dale." Permanent solutions. After fraud, fake authority, media warfare, and memorial desecration, Brenda's apparently ready for whatever comes after psychological terrorism. Time to show her what engineering permanent solutions actually look like. Monday morning arrives with the kind of desert stillness that makes you appreciate silence, until it gets shattered by the sound of power tools and aggressive male voices discussing property modifications in my driveway. I peer through my bedroom window to discover Brenda's assembled what looks like a demolition crew. 4 men in work clothes carrying sledgehammers, crowbars, and a portable concrete saw that screams like a banshee when it starts up. The acrid smell of two-stroke engine exhaust mixes with desert heat and the metallic scent of impending destruction. Brenda stands beside her Escalade wearing military-style cargo pants and a hard hat like she's cosplaying a construction foreman. Her clipboard now contains what appears to be official work orders, complete with municipal letterhead that probably came from the same printer as her previous forgeries. "Attention property owner!" she shouts through a bullhorn that could wake cacti from 3 counties away. By Municipal Order 847C, this illegal structure must be removed within 30 minutes or face immediate demolition. Municipal Order 847C exists only in Brenda's imagination, filed somewhere between her fake legal authority and her non-existent government credentials. But her demolition crew doesn't seem interested in verifying paperwork. They're being paid to swing hammers, not ask questions. I step outside, still in my morning coffee routine, watching 4 strangers prepare to destroy 3 days of professional engineering work. "Gentlemen, before you start swinging tools, you should know this barrier sits on private property with legal installation permits. Destroying it constitutes criminal vandalism." The crew chief, a weathered man whose hands suggest decades of legitimate construction work, examines Brenda's fake work order with growing suspicion. "Ma'am, this doesn't look like standard municipal documentation. Where's the official demolition permit?" "I am the municipal authority," Brenda screams, her voice climbing toward frequencies that make desert wildlife relocate. "This is an emergency health and safety removal." Here's where 30 years of construction experience meets amateur criminal theater. The crew chief recognizes professional installations when he sees them, and my boom barrier represents engineering craftsmanship that commands respect from people who actually build things for a living. "Lady, this is professional-grade equipment with proper footings and electrical work. We don't touch legitimate installations without proper municipal paperwork, the real kind." The mini-twist unfolds beautifully. Brenda's hired demolition crew walks away after refusing to participate in obvious property destruction. She's left standing in my driveway, hard hat askew, shouting at men who've already loaded their tools and driven toward jobs that won't land them in prison. But Brenda's desperation reaches new creative heights by afternoon. She returns with a different approach, attempted bribery disguised as neighborly negotiation. "Marcus, let's be reasonable adults about this situation," she says, approaching with a manila envelope that rustles like leaves in autumn wind. "I understand you've invested money in that barrier system. What if I offered fair compensation for voluntary removal?" She opens the envelope, revealing cash that smells like casino ATMs and desperate decisions. $20 bills arranged with the precision of someone who's counted money obsessively. $5,000 cash for voluntary barrier removal and a signed agreement that this property dispute was a mutual misunderstanding. $5,000 to surrender my property rights and legitimize her systematic fraud operation. She's offering hush money to make her crimes disappear like morning desert mist. Brenda, are you attempting to bribe me into ignoring criminal activity? This isn't bribery, it's reasonable compensation for community cooperation. Her voice develops the shrill quality of someone whose backup plans are running out faster than her moral flexibility. I pull out my phone and activate recording mode. So you're offering cash payment in exchange for abandoning legitimate property rights and signing documents that would conceal your fraudulent activities? The color drains from Brenda's face faster than water into desert sand. She realizes she just attempted to bribe someone while being recorded, adding another felony to her growing criminal resume. "This conversation never happened," she shouts, grabbing her cash envelope and fleeing toward her Escalade like someone escaping a crime scene. By evening, Dale texts the warning I've been expecting. Tonight's the final escalation. She's hired people to make you understand cooperation. Lock your doors, document everything, and call police immediately if anyone approaches your property. Professional criminals. Brenda's exhausted legal fraud, fake authority, media manipulation, vandalism, attempted demolition, and bribery. Now she's graduating to actual violence committed by people whose services can't be found in legitimate business directories. The woman who started by claiming my driveway was public property is now hiring thugs to terrorize me into submission. All to steal a house she needs to pay gambling debts that could fund a small country's defense budget. I spend Monday evening upgrading security systems and preparing for whatever desperate criminals do when every other option fails. Motion sensors, floodlights, camera coverage, and emergency contact procedures that would impress federal witness protection programs. My phone buzzes with a final text from Dale. She's past the point of rational behavior. Whatever happens tonight, remember that you didn't start this war, but you have every right to finish it. Brenda wanted to play stupid games with someone's property, marriage memories, and financial security. Time for her to win the stupidest prize in HOA history. Tuesday morning, 6:47 a.m. The sound that wakes me isn't my alarm clock. It's Brenda's Escalade gunning its engine like a drag racer preparing for the quarter mile of her life. I roll out of bed and peer through blinds to witness the most beautiful moment of this entire war. Brenda accelerating toward my boom barrier at what appears to be ramming speed, apparently convinced she can bulldoze through 3 days of professional engineering with $200,000 worth of German luxury. The impact echoes across the desert like a thunderclap announcing divine justice. Her Escalade meets immovable steel at 15 miles per hour, and physics delivers a lesson that Brenda's credit cards can't fix. The boom barrier doesn't even vibrate. It was designed to stop vehicles twice her SUV's weight. But Brenda's Escalade? The front end crumples like aluminum foil meeting a brick wall. Airbags deploy with the sound of explosive punctuation marks ending her criminal career. Steam rises from her destroyed radiator, creating morning mist that smells like coolant and consequences. Through her spiderwebbed windshield, I can see Brenda's face cycling through emotions faster than a slot machine. Shock, rage, disbelief, and finally, the dawning horror of someone who just realized they've made a very expensive mistake. By pure coincidence, and by coincidence I mean I called them yesterday after Dale's warning, Officer Rivera and Channel 9 investigative reporter Sarah Martinez arrive within minutes of Brenda's spectacular automotive suicide. Officer Rivera steps out of his patrol car, surveys the scene of Brenda versus engineering, and shakes his head with the weary professionalism of someone who's witnessed every variety of human stupidity Arizona produces. "Ma'am, are you injured?" he calls to Brenda, who's attempting to climb out of her destroyed Escalade while maintaining some shred of dignity. "That illegal barrier attacked my car!" she screams, pointing at my boom barrier like it personally insulted her ancestors. "I demand immediate arrest for property assault." Property assault. She's claiming my legally installed barrier committed assault by refusing to be destroyed by her vehicle. This woman just attempted vehicular demolition and is now playing victim to the consequences of her own criminal stupidity. Sarah Martinez positions her camera crew for optimal documentation as neighbors emerge from houses like prairie dogs sensing drama. Mrs. Vanessa, Bob the electrician, even old Thompson gather in a semicircle around the spectacle of Brenda's meltdown. Officer Rivera, I have security footage of the entire incident, I announce, pulling out my phone loaded with multiple camera angles of Brenda's attempted property destruction. Clear documentation of intentional vehicle ramming. The footage plays like a greatest hits compilation of criminal stupidity. Brenda accelerating toward the barrier, impact and deployment, airbag explosion, and her subsequent rage-induced exit from the wreckage. Ma'am, attempting to destroy private property with a vehicle constitutes criminal damage, Officer Rivera explains with the patience of someone educating a particularly dense child. That barrier is legally installed on private property. This is public property, Brenda shrieks, waving her original fake survey like a religious artifact that will somehow alter reality through sheer force of delusion. I have municipal authority. Here's where Sarah Martinez steps forward with investigative journalism that makes Brenda's morning infinitely worse. Ms. Kilpatrick, our investigation discovered you owe $47,000 in gambling debts and have been systematically defrauding HOA funds to cover casino losses. Would you like to comment on allegations of embezzlement and property fraud? Brenda's face transforms through several shades of horror as she realizes her criminal empire just got exposed on live television. The neighbors who gathered to watch her automotive failure are now learning about systematic theft that's been destroying their community for years. Those are lies spread by disgruntled residents, she stammers, but her voice lacks conviction. Even amateur criminals recognize when their cover gets blown on morning news broadcasts. Officer Rivera produces handcuffs with the ceremonial gravity of someone delivering long overdue justice. Ma'am, you're under arrest for criminal damage, attempted property destruction, and will be adding fraud charges based on evidence provided by your husband's attorney. As metal bracelets click around Brenda's wrists, I step forward with the microphone moment I've been rehearsing since this war began. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce to gathered neighbors and rolling cameras, this is what happens when bullies think good people won't fight back. When someone tries to steal your property using fake authority, you don't negotiate with criminals. You build something they can't destroy and let them destroy themselves. The crowd erupts in applause that echoes off desert mountains like thunder celebrating justice. Mrs. Vanessa starts chanting, "Justice for Marcus," while Bob the electrician high-fives everyone within reach. Sarah Martinez captures it all. Brenda's arrest, community celebration, and the boom barrier standing triumphant over the wreckage of her Escalade like a steel monument to property rights. As the tow truck hauls away Brenda's destroyed vehicle and Officer Rivera transports her toward lengthy legal consequences, I realize something profound. Elena would have loved watching engineering principles defeat criminal stupidity with such spectacular efficiency. The boom barrier worked exactly as designed. Brenda regretted her crimes exactly as predicted. Justice served, Arizona style. 6 months later, I'm installing the final touches on Elena's memorial garden when Mrs. Vanessa arrives with coffee and the biggest smile I've seen since this whole nightmare began. Marcus, you'll never believe what happened to our former HOA president, she says, settling into the lawn chair I keep specifically for neighbors bearing good news and caffeine. The legal consequences landed on Brenda like an Arizona monsoon after months of drought. Criminal fraud charges, embezzlement convictions, and restitution orders that transformed her from neighborhood tyrant into cautionary tale about the price of systematic theft. 3 years prison sentence, 5 years probation, and court-ordered repayment of $87,000 to HOA victims. The casino garnished her wages for gambling debt recovery, Dale's divorce left her with minimal assets, and her real estate accomplice Monica Vasquez received matching sentences for their coordinated fraud operation. She's working retail at a strip mall discount store, Mrs. Vanessa reports, with the satisfaction of someone watching karma deliver express service. Restocking shelves for $12 an hour while her victims recover their stolen equity. But the real victory isn't Brenda's downfall. It's community transformation that emerged from her criminal ashes. Our new HOA board operates with transparency requirements that would impress congressional oversight committees. Every financial transaction requires dual approval. Boundary disputes demand independent surveys, and board members submit to background checks that prevent future Brendas from infiltrating community leadership. Property values recovered completely within 8 months, helped by the security upgrade every homeowner installed after witnessing my boom barrier's effectiveness. Bob's Desert Barriers LLC business exploded with orders from neighbors wanting their own property protection systems. The Martinez family, previous fraud victims, used their restitution money to fund their kids' college education that Brenda's scheme originally destroyed. Mrs. Patterson renovated her garden with flowers that bloom more beautifully than before. Thompson invested his recovery in retirement security that fraud can never again threaten. My own healing came through unexpected channels. Janet, the former board member who helped expose Brenda's lies, started joining me for weekend Mustang restoration sessions. Turns out she knows more about classic automotive electrical systems than most professional mechanics, and her laugh sounds remarkably similar to Elena's when she's proud of solving complex problems. Elena would want you to be happy, Janet said last month while helping me rebuild the Mustang's transmission. She'd also want you to keep fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. That inspiration led to the Elena Weatherby Engineering Ethics Scholarship at Arizona State University. Half of my civil lawsuit settlement, $60,000, established an endowment supporting first-generation college students pursuing engineering degrees with emphasis on ethical professional practice. The first recipient, Maria Santos, grew up in a family terrorized by property fraud similar to Brenda's scheme. Now she's studying civil engineering with plans to help communities protect themselves from systematic real estate theft. Mr. Weatherby, your scholarship changed everything for families like mine, Maria told me at the award ceremony. We'll never again be vulnerable to people who prey on communities that don't understand property law. The boom barrier still stands sentinel across my driveway, no longer needed for protection but maintained as a symbol of what happens when good engineering meets bad behavior. Neighborhood kids call it the Justice Gate, and tour groups occasionally drive by to photograph the famous steel monument to property rights. Dale remarried a wonderful woman who appreciates his kindness and treats him with the respect Brenda never provided. They send Christmas cards featuring photos of Dale's genuine happiness, the kind that comes from escaping toxic relationships and building healthy ones. Sarah Martinez's investigative series, HOA Tyranny, won Arizona Press Club awards and inspired state legislation requiring HOA financial auditing and board member accountability. Our community became the model for HOA reform that protects homeowners from future systematic fraud. This morning's mail brought a letter from Tucson County Attorney's Office. Brenda's parole application was denied due to insufficient restitution payments and continued resistance to accepting responsibility for her crimes. She'll serve her full sentence, providing additional years of community protection. But the sweetest justice isn't legal consequences. It's the sound of children playing safely in neighborhoods where property rights are protected, where community leaders serve residents instead of exploiting them, and where boom barriers stand ready to stop anyone who thinks good people won't fight back. Elena's memorial roses bloom more beautifully each season, surrounded by desert landscape that represents healing, growth, and the eternal truth that love builds stronger foundations than hate can ever destroy.
Here's what Marker figured out something most people never do when facing HOA bullies. They are counting on you to react emotionally. Angry, rushes, making mistakes. Brenda spent 3 months escalating the pressures. Flexibles, retail lawyers, even high actor posing as government official. Every move was designed to make Marcus panic and surrender his property rights. That's how this game works. Pressures, confusions, and the hope that you don't know the law. But Marcus is something different. Instead of fighting drama with more drama, he went quiet. He read the actual property codes, commissioned legitimate surveys, built a paper trail that couldn't be argued with or overridden by fake municipal orders. HOA power trip rely on one thing: people not knowing their real rights. The moment you understand what you legally own and can prove it, the intimidation collapses. The boom barrier wasn't just steel and concrete. It got 3 months of patient research made permanent. What your experience with HOA intimidation tactics? Drop a comment below. Subscribe for more stories where knowledge beats blaster. Because understanding the rule is the only way to win the game.